your poison with that defense.
Ladies and gentlemen, Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal, a weekly guest at the Friday Football Feast from the fighting city of Anniston in Alabama by way of Andover, where he lives now. And he writes for The Athletic. So we have a triple A in there. Make it quadruple because his first name begins with an A. Can I get a witness and a raucous round of applause for our friend Alec Lewis of The Athletic? Hey, look at that.
Your hair looks good again today.
You got a lot of friends here.
No, I know. Crystal likes me better than Elk River.
Crystal? Any relation to Tanqueray or Lolita?
I don't get that. You're on one. I was listening in the car. I'm like, this guy is all over the map today, which is, I mean, it's typical. It's not like that's something
Alec,
new. But your hair, I'm telling you, the hair, again, 2 weeks in a row.
Alec,
hello, I'm right here.
Introduced
Charch,
me.
I don't need to tell you, you know.
Well, thank you.
Alec introduced me to a few of his friends, given he lives near here in Andover. And he said, yeah, these are my friends, Crystal, Lolita, and Tanqueray.
I don't even know where Andover is.
Oh, you don't?
That's I don't even know where that is. And you would probably say, oh, it's down 394, and I don't know what that is.
You know where that is.
No.
Right.
Let me get this out of the way early.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's I find it to be fascinating. So when you think of greatest kickers in the history of the NFL, do you think Nick Folk?
No, I think Parker Romo.
Okay, well, you got Parker Romo, Justin
Soon to
Tucker, Adam Vinatieri.
Justin Tucker is the best that I've seen in my lifetime.
Right. But, like, putting together the game-calling depth chart with Nick Folk or Fick Nolk, who knew? Seriously. It's last year, okay, 17th year from Arizona. So 16th year, old guy cred. Last year, he made 96.7% of his field goals. That was number one in the NFL in his 16th year. So that's pretty cool. How about this? The last time he missed a field goal, 39 yards or in, when he was with the Patriots, season opener 2020. He has an NFL record of 81 consecutive makes, 39 and in. Are you kidding me?
Are you going for like the ultimate announcer's jinx of all time? Like 100%. I'm gonna be in the press box laughing so hard when he misses
the best.
And Nick Folk to put the Titans up 6-3 in the second quarter from 28 yards out, and it's hooked left.
He obviously has the worst arm of kickers in the history of the National Football League.
Arm.
Well, yeah, because he's played in 237 games for 4 teams, and nobody's ever let him throw a pass. In 2 games against the Vikings, 2010 and 2014 with the Jets, are the only 2 times in his career he went 5 for 5 on field goals.
Wow.
5 for 5.
When you started, I want to get this out of the way.
So Nick Folk, one of the greats in the history of the game.
Owns us.
Nick Folk is phenomenal. I mean, yeah,
I didn't realize how good he was.
I really didn't come in here thinking I was going to get to talk about Nick Folk, but great kicker, very accomplished. And
thank you.
Who knows? Yeah, I'm not. I mean, you're not Nick Folk, so I'm not thanking you.
No, but see what that was designed to do was lift your spirits. To let you know these stories you've written of late are not as bad as you think.
No,
I'm beginning my intel into a very big game talking about the kicker. So we all occasionally take Friday L's.
You said, I want to get this out of the way, and I'm thinking you're going Justin Jefferson, 2 high safety. I thought we were going to, Nick Folk. No, the stories, the stories will come. I'm excited about the next few weeks. I'm spending time with some people that I look forward to writing about. So,
What?
Yeah.
Wait,
no.
You didn't set me up for so how is Tom Condon?
Well, you didn't go there. So.
Okay. How is Curtis Modkins?
Yeah.
Curtis running backs?
Curtis Modkins has he's the running backs coach for the Vikings, for the listeners who don't know.
Right.
He's got an essential role, I think, this weekend because I think they're going to run the ball a lot.
Mm-hmm. Let me, I was going to ask during Chad Greenway's time here, but I'll ask both of you guys. And I kind of know who the guy is. Who's Jake Paul? Like you got Tyson Jake Paul tonight on Netflix.
Yep.
And I'm going to be at Fashion Fest, kind of down by where you live at the Depot, from probably 7:15 to 8:30 or something.
Are you dressing up?
It's I'm going to wear a suit, but it's a charitable thing for the University of Minnesota, the Masonic Hospital. So I'll be there tonight, so I can't watch it live. Well, do either one of you guys know anything about this fight tonight? Like, is there an undercard? If it begins at 7, is there like some kind of a geezer-related undercard?
I don't know if there's an undercard, but Jake Paul's like he's just a big influencer kind of. He's YouTube, social media.
Yeah, I saw that, but how big?
Oh, yeah,
Makes billions off of it?
Millions.
Yeah, he has his own
wow.
company called Better, which is like become BETR. It's become like very. But yeah, he resonates a lot with Gen Z, Gen.
Do you guys think he's funny or talented, or like you go out of your way to watch him or whatever?
No, I don't know.
I'll probably watch the fight if I'm doing nothing.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna definitely record it or whatever. I've always liked Mike Tyson. I mean, I loved watching Mike Tyson fight back when boxing was a thing and people actually cared about it.
It was relevant. It's hard to remember a time where boxing was highly relevant, but his run in the 90s was astoundingly epic.
Alec
Alec, there'd be a ballyhooed matchup, and it would be over halfway through the first round.
Yeah.
And Tyson was just obliterating people at a level we have never seen before.
Yeah.
The fights were ending instantly.
Yep.
And he was as vicious and visceral a boxer as we've had in our lifetime.
And then he was a 60-6-0, I believe, 60, 50, or 40, but a massive favorite. And it was later in his career, and he got a little too high on the metaphorical horse. So he's training for a fight against Buster Douglas. But, he's training in Los Angeles all of a sudden. Got a lot of ancillary distractions around him. This is when the Tigers came into play that he actually owns and raises and stuff. Was going to Vegas on weekends. He took a trip to Japan.
Yeah.
Like, say the fight's on a Saturday. He went to Japan like on a Tuesday.
Sure.
Or a Wednesday, but not to train, to like hang. And then he got back like Thursday, fought Saturday, and Buster Douglas knocked him out as one of the biggest upsets in the history of
sports,
of heavyweight boxing.
I kind of wish like I grew up in like the boxing.
Yeah, it was the bomb.
Time. Yeah, I mean UFC kind of is that now in some capacity, but I don't know. I love those big, like even when Floyd Mayweather would fight like 5 years ago, Mayweather Pacquiao, those fights were not phenomenal,
unbelievable.
But like to watch those big. I don't know.
I kind of fell off after Tyson. Now, see, I lived in when I wrote for the Pasadena Star News and San Gabriel Valley Tribune, stringer for USA Today. During that time, Oscar De La Hoya had popped up, and the Golden Boy was unbelievable. And living in Los Angeles during that time, I lived in Los Angeles during a time Oscar De La Hoya, Hispanic, emerged to worldwide greatness, and it was really big in Los Angeles. But also, right around the time you and I graduated 84, you're right around there, right?
Yep.
Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Like remember the Night Stalker in the mid-'80s?
That is.
No.
It was a serial killer.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were talking about a bot. I know it's serial killer.
And he was slashing in like neighborhoods all around where I lived. So, and where a lot of people live. So, I mean, that was of the macabre, but nevertheless, it was certainly memorable. But Oscar De La Hoya, that's kind of when I fell off. Tyson too. Ask John, your father, because when there were only 4 channels, and Charch remembers this, a Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, a Ken Norton, George Foreman, Sugar Ray Leonard, marvelous Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, fights like that. I mean, you waited around all day for them. You were super excited to watch them at like 11 o'clock at night because there wasn't much else on.
Yeah. Do you think that was the first time in a segment Nick Folk and Richard Ramirez
have ever come up in the same segment?
In radio history.
Oh, my.
In the history of
what has happened to you?
No, I think that was unbelievable.
Yeah, but your glasses are foggy and you're so excited.
I had a question earlier this week to Kevin O'Connell in the press conference, and I was laughing and I hit my glass.
I know.
It's been the week. Look, I'm ready. Jacksonville.
Kevin finds you adorable. He tells me all the time.
That's weird, and I don't think. I don't think that's the case. I don't think he liked the question I asked. That was stumbling, bumbling.
Either that or he didn't hear it. I mean, you and Kevin Seifert are so quiet when you guys ask questions.
Well, it's a serious time, but I don't, you know this about me, I do not like the press conference setting where it's like, hey Kevin, I can't stand like the jockeying for like show of.
But have I shared with you the bit that I did when they were at Winter Park? I think Brad Childress was the coach, and like Monday's the day after press conference off what you're saying. I've never shared this with you.
I don't think so.
Okay, because I don't ask questions at press conferences because that's time for other people to ask them. I'm fortunate to get that one-on-one on Tuesday, so other people can do their thing. But I attend all of them, especially on Fridays because I enjoy them. So it's like there would be Mondays with Brad Childress or Leslie Frazier. Recapping games or whatever, and there'd be a lot of people like there are at these press conferences. And okay, so Kevin, they try to time their entry into when the guy ends a sentence, and it's like they just generally start, and then whomever is loudest, I guess the other person cedes. Correct? Fair way to look at it?
Yeah, and the worst is when two people go at the same time.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, who's the bigger?
Yeah.
It's just like, ask the question. I don't.
It used to be where they would like 4, 5, 6, and I would just sit at the back of like a tightly contested loss or something was controversial. So a lot of people had questions, and you had like weird news people there who never come. And like I would wait for it to end. I'd wait for Childress or Frazier to end, and then I'd go, Leslie. And they asked me to stop.
That's how it is. That's how it feels, though. It's like people are like questioning, like it's like a presidential. It's unbelievable.
Quick last thing on Tyson before we completely lost our Tyson.
Or we could go back to Nick Folk.
I got another media thing for you too.
Tyson has one of the great quotes I think in the history of sports.
Oh, it's the punch in the face bit.
Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
That's awesome.
Isn't that great?
He did yesterday.
John.
I love that. So there's a video going around social media where this young girl is like how like sometimes young people are like reporter-ish and they ask an athlete a question. Yeah. So she asked Mike Tyson this question about what he wants his legacy to be, and either he did it purposely or he forgot that he was talking to a young kid. And he gave this whole diatribe about how he doesn't believe in the word legacy, and this little young girl is like, "Oh, okay." You got to find that on social media. It's
lastly, Brad Childress, former coach of the Vikings, very smart, very well read.
Yeah, he looks like me with the glasses,
but he was just very well read, and he would have you would ask him a question about Brett Favre and situations through which he pushed, and he would just off the cuff say, "Well, he's been to handling school." Wow, that's a really cool line. Handling school, capital H, capital S. Don't know where it's located. Feels like Rocky Top. But handling school, that's cool. There was, after a loss, whatever, somebody in the media was picking on somebody, going after somebody, one or two people hard. And Childress waited for the question to end, and then he paused, and he said, "You know what you're like?" No, this out when a coach starts.
This is not going to
as I've learned over the years. When a person, a member of the hierarchy or a higher up, a coach or a GM, pulls you to the side and starts the sentence with, "I was listening to your podcast."
Oh no,
there's nothing good that's going to come out of that. Okay, but secondly, on that approach, Childress said, "You know what you're like? You're like a soldier. Yeah, you're like a person that sits atop the mountain." Watching the battle, and when the battle's done, you come down and shoot the wounded. It's like I went, "Ah!" That's one of the most beautiful, clever, beautiful, smart things I've ever heard in my is when the battle's done, you come down and shoot the wounded.
It's so.
Ask John.
You loved it. The situations, the media, the press conference. It's just so interesting, and it's very. There are times where you really have to get answers because you only get Kevin O'Connell 3 times a week, 2 times a week. But I always treat that as like I'm curious about something.
Yep.
Like, why did you throw the ball, right? And I think Kevin. I've tried to tell this to Kevin even privately. It's like most of the time I know there's facets that are going on behind the scenes that I would never know.
Yeah.
So if I can get that explanation, that's always what I'm going.
Well, let's segue into football with this. Okay, Now that the Jacksonville game, the 3rd and 1 play where he threw, where Darnold got sacked. Okay, and you watch a lot of a film like the end zone angle and or the sideline. So have you watched that play?
I think I've watched that play back. Okay. It might have been the one where he forced it kind of downfield.
No, it was middle of the. He was sacked. The only sack of the game.
Okay.
And Kevin referenced it Monday at his press conference. I don't know if he said, because I've said this to Nordo before. For those of you who listen to Kevin O'Connell, either Tuesdays 9 to noon or with his press conferences, if you listen closely enough, he gives the answer to everything in a roundabout way, but you just got to know what you're listening for. And when I was listening to that press conference Monday, I don't know if he said Josh Oliver needs to hold him longer or do a better job or whatever, but Oliver, who's going out in a route, he kind of half-heartedly held and or blocked Trayvon Walker, who was coming up the middle, and not the A-gap, but the one next to it. Well, see, like with O'Connell, I'm not going to say exactly how he put it Sunday, either leaving from Jacksonville or after landing, but it was like, if somebody bees at me about that 3rd and 1, I'll just end it there, because Jefferson was wide open center of the field, like 9 yards from the line of scrimmage, so that's just how frustrating that day was despite the win. Is you craft a play to finally get 18 open. He's open. We got everybody blocked. We got this guy mostly blocked, and we can't close on it.
Well, I told you this, but there have been trick plays this year, and sometimes even as I'm watching, I'm like, what? The trick play there? And then I will have conversations with people inside the building after the fact. It's like, well, actually, with what the defense showed, that play should have been canned to this,
right?
And that was the whole process of the play. So there's just so many elements and layers and details that matter with kind of the play calls, and I'm thrown off because PA's walking around.
Well, it's okay.
You have me stimulated. That's why I didn't get out of my chair.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
How about if we just
Ask
change?
John.
How about we just change the subject? How's that?
Sure. Whatever you want to talk about.
We've been doing these all year. For a lot of the last the prior month, I've been pretty tough on Byron Murphy and giving you some stats and stuff. Let's take a moment to give Byron Murphy some credit for what appears to be much improved play over the last 2-3 games.
I was driving here. I wondered if you were going to bring up Byron Murphy, because it's not just this year. Last year we talked about it all the time too, and he has been from a ball skills perspective. I think he has his locker. I was talking to him yesterday. And in the top cubby of his locker, he's just got footballs all in there, and it's like all of his
interception balls.
Yeah.
Wow!
And he's just trying to add more of these, and it's like, you're doing a good job. But one of the key aspects to me of why he's been able to perform better is on passing downs where they're in lighter personnel. He is now playing the position that I think he's best, which is in the slot as a nickel corner, and he doesn't do it on base downs because they have him as an outside corner, but when he is in the slot, kind of just, blanketing receivers from that position, he's been really, really good. And that was, when they first signed him last year, that was the role they envisioned him.
Right.
The issue was last year with the Caleb Evans and Mekhi Blackman, they just weren't able to have him in that spot because they needed him outside. So you're seeing him in the position that he fits best at, and it's been really cool to watch him really produce the way he has over the last 4 weeks or so.
It'll be interesting to see in this game if they end up deciding that they do want to continue to use Byron Murphy in the slot, because there's not a team with a lot of slot receiver talent. You're not going up against Cooper Kupp here. It'll be like Akine Westbrook.
Westbrook
right?
Akine.
Westbrook Akine. So, yes, and Tony Pollard is the one guy that can really wreck your day. Not Tony, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Calvin Ridley.
I was going to
Calvin Ridley through the passing game is the one guy who can wreck your day, and I wonder if they end up doing something a little bit different schematically to not let Calvin Ridley have one of those big games that once a month, he's 9 catches for 120 yards and 2 scores. You don't want that to be how you lose.
Yeah, schematically, from a pass coverage standpoint, they might do something differently. But to get the ball to Calvin Ridley, Will Levis is going to, have to have the time to do it. Yeah. And their offensive line has not been phenomenal. And then, B, Will Levis is going to have to make the right decisions to find Calvin Ridley, which he has not been exceptional in terms of making decisions. So, Brian Flores' defense against Will Levis and this Titans offensive line is a matchup that you can go to sleep the night before and probably feel pretty good. Now, is it going to be perfect? Probably not. Is it going to be easy? No, it never is in this league. But that matchup to me is just so far in the favor of Brian Flores.
Right, but you're hating on Levis because he's a Kentucky kid.
No,
Alabama and Kentucky, they got this moonshine thing where it's like a civil war with who makes the best moonshine. So you immediately start knocking on the Kentucky Wildcat.
I have no problem with Will Levis. I have much bigger problem with the city of Jacksonville.
Your tweet was like it was awkward or different or strange or
I could
odd.
not wait to leave Jacksonville.
Right.
I thought it was one of the worst cities I've ever been to in my
Why?
life.
What's wrong with Jackson?
There was nothing good about it.
It's
there was
boring.
nothing good. There was nothing good about the city. And
They have a little 50th, like it's called Avondale.
Sure.
I've been there before. It's a little 50th in France area. It's not it's not that big, but that's a nice part.
So that's awesome. Now, as long as Will Levis is not from Jacksonville, I'm not. I have nothing against him, but I do know that he averages more turnovers per play than any other quarterback in the NFL.
Hey.
And going against the Vikings defense, which leads the NFL in turnovers, that probably doesn't make you feel phenomenal if you're a Titans fan.
I know, right?
Vikings have the second highest blitz rate. They were first for a long time. Their second highest blitz rate in the NFL. Here is where Will Levis ranks out of 32 quarterbacks against the blitz. In EPA, he's number 31. In yards per attempt, he's number 31. And in sacks per pressure rate, he is number 31. Thank you, Warren Sharp, for that data. So
I thought you were going to bring up success rate, and then PA was going to go, what is a successful play? And then you guys were going to go,
who determines the success? Whose eyes have determined this is a success?
They've got, it's not even subjective. The success rate thing is like, if it's third and less than 4 yards, did you get the first down?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
How'd the left guard block?
No, I knew you were going there.
There we go.
Next point.
There we go.
Was it off the Sunday night TV copy, or did they actually wait till the next day to not rip people
Charch,
off?
what interesting aspect of that blitz rate, I'm going to segue out of that. Last week, in the second half of that game, the defense was not really blitzing a ton, but they were.
The Vikings?
The Vikings were not blitzing a ton, but they were bringing 4 with one linebacker.
Yeah.
And it was usually Blake Cashman,
Yep.
Ivan Pace, and they were just obliterating the Jaguars running back and pass protection. And that was, Blake Cashman told you this after the game.
Tank Bigsby catching another stray.
I know, right? How does this happen all the time?
Well, because we didn't know about him, and you don't follow pass protection. You follow touchdowns and yards and PPR. But we didn't know about all this till we saw it, and now, wow, your guy Tank, holy cow.
I was going to give you credit. You interviewed Blake Cashman after the game.
I did?
And he told you
No, it was Lieber.
Lieber, excuse me. Sorry. All credit to Ben Lieber.
Yeah.
He interviewed Cash after the game, and they said at halftime, they put in some specific blitzes to be able to just,
Expose the backs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, that's a testament and another facet to why this defense has been so successful is they can adapt on the fly because they have the players smart enough not only to take in the strategy, but also to deploy it in the second half. So Will Levis against the blitz, not good. I think that was the summary of the numbers.
If we were to bring it all together to about 4 words, Will Levis, not good.
We will continue to chop it up with Alec Lewis, who writes about football and the Minnesota Vikings for The Athletic and theathletic.com. It's a nominal charge monthly to subscribe to The Athletic, and this is the time of the year where you can gift subscriptions to other people. I've done it a couple of years. Go to theathletic.com for information on that. It's really cool because the writers are high end. So more with Alec on the Vikings and the Titans around the corner. But first, here comes the con.
The Fan, along with 2 men in a junk truck, they want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. So go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword deposit. You might make $1,000 deposit if you use the keyword deposit at KFAN. Fan.
Just listen. You lucky suckers.
Jonathan Grenard sacked Will Levis 2.5 times at Nissan Stadium last year. Of the 7 Grenard sacks this year, 5 have come against the AFC South, the division against which he used to play. The Vikings are looking to sweep the AFC South by beating the Tennessee Titans Sunday at noon on KFAN. And attacking Will Levis was addressed. So I want to go to a quarterback of a different variety, and this cat's a rookie, because I just want to hear what you guys think. Caleb Williams, all right, and Charch and I talked it out a little bit earlier, but Caleb Williams, will he ever be who many said he would be? Secondly, is Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, is going to be a head coach next year.
The future Bears coach?
Right, right. Is that steamy?
It is.
Okay, well, it's you got this kid and you got these receivers and the running stable. We can work on that. What do you guys think about all that?
Well, I'll tell you this. I after last weekend, there was so much noise around Chicago, so I was just like, I wanted to see what it looked like.
Yep.
And I watched that offensive film that they played last week against the Patriots, and it was one of the worst I've ever seen from an NFL offense since I've started covering the league.
Wow. What do you mean?
And everything was not good. The offensive line is atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean, the offensive line there is very bad.
Yep.
The receiving core, Roma Dunze dropped passes. Keenan Allen didn't look like he was his full self.
I think DJ Moore's checked out.
DJ Moore didn't look like he was all in.
I mean, I'm not kidding. I don't like saying this about people specifically for other teams because I'm not in the room. It's just when I watch him, it just seems to me he's lollygagging a little bit.
That's been kind of a thought and a comment over there. So very valid. DeAndre Swift, there were times where he looked really good, times where it didn't look like he hit the right hole. And then Caleb Williams, I'm not totally sure. And this has been a question that I've had I watched all the quarterbacks. I knew the Vikings were going to draft a quarterback.
Yep.
And one of the things that I had questions about was is part of the reason that he scrambles as much as he does because he doesn't see it well enough. Right. And that was a question I had. Shane Waldron, who they fired, you talk to people across the league, they don't rip this guy. People think fairly highly of Shane Waldron as a coordinator, so he obviously gets fired. Then the next is probably going to be Matt Eberflus if it continues to go bad. And then Caleb enters next season with full-on pressure, knowing that Jaden Daniels had the year that he had. It's an unbelievable. It's tough. So to your question of will Caleb find it? I mean, I think it's a fair question right now, and it's wild given the arc that they've had of new general manager, new head coach, draft a quarterback, then that guy who drafts them is no longer there. Then it's just a cycle there that has been brutal for a long time.
I hit Charch with this earlier. You're an elite football mind, you probably know. Matt Eberflus, coach of the Chicago Bears. Now, this is a home game this weekend against the Pack. But in 21 road games coached by Eberflus, they're 3-18. He's 3-18 on the road. I mean, I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, that's it. Look, it's over for Eberflus. It would take an extraordinary turnaround for him to save his job at this point. I think all things being even, if they had more and better talent among their coordinators and other coaches, they would have fired Eberflus and put somebody else up to be head coach. I don't think they have it in the building, and they know that.
Well, the reality is, I mean, Ryan Poles, their GM, talks so highly about their revamped offensive line. It's been terrible. Ryan Poles paid DJ Moore. He acquired Keenan Allen, and then and Cole Kmet has not been spectacular. So then everything just gets deflected on the people below him, and then it rises to the level. It's a mess. And it's also why, I mean, I remember in Hard Knocks, one of the best scenes I thought was Nick Saban sitting down with Matt Eberflus and talking about patience for young quarterbacks in the NFL. And they threw Caleb Williams right into the fire, and so be it. But I still think, I mean, just the idea that you wait for a quarterback to be able to see, to be able to learn, if you can somehow have the patience to be able to do that in the long term, you're probably in the best situation.
Well, even Drake May, who waited 6 weeks or whatever,
a ton,
right? Not a ton, but I think that ultimately helped him. It is, as far as I'm concerned, it is the preferred path for almost every rookie is to wait a while, and they're all different for when. But if you've got the luxury of waiting because you don't have a mandate to win that season, you don't have a mandate to make this player perfect right out of the gate, boy, boy, that it really helps. And it's for the way the Vikings had set up their J.J. McCarthy, to me, was really ideal.
Oof.
Where they didn't, we have still no idea where J.J.'s career arc is going to be, but we know that this team wasn't going to have to put him into a game this year if they didn't need to.
Now, remember last week, it might have been with YA, young Alec, but somewhere during the show last week, we were going over NFL MVP odds.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and Jared Goff was third at like 8-1 or 6-1. The demise of Jared Goff has not been greatly exaggerated from a MVP standpoint. 5 interceptions last game. He went all the way up to 40-1.
Oh my!
He went from
6 on one bad game
to 40-1, and we have a leaper. We have a hurdler here. Mm-hmm. His name is Kyler Murray, and he means business. He went from 60-1 to 22-1. Brock Purdy is 17-1. Jalen Hurts 16-1. Mahizel 6-1. Josh Allen 4-1. Lamar Jackson is now even money.
Wow!
Plus 170.
It's come to this for Lamar.
I watched the Cardinals a couple weeks ago play the Dolphins, and I was watching Kyler.
Thanks for listening to 9 to Noon. It looks like a mild technical difficulty at Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal, and I know while Jared Wells is going to work on that, we're actually going to take our final pause, come back for the final segment of the Friday Football Feast, PA and Charch, B-Dubs, and Crystal. When we return, you're home for Vikings football, The Fan.
Saying Jaden Daniels at one point was minus 2,200. Now he's minus 950. That's a precipitous drop. Brock Bowers was like 50-60-1 a couple of weeks ago. He's now 33-1. The tight end winning NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Bo Nix second at 14-1. What do you think?
So if Brock Bowers were a quarterback, he would be the leader because he is dominating his position the way that Jaden Daniels was, but is not anymore.
So your guy Marvin Harrison, if it's dominating as a non-quarterback, your guy Marvin Harrison Jr., he's 40-1 right behind him.
Not in the conversation.
Brian Thomas Jr., 50-1. I'll give you 90-1 if you run that money through me.
Right, and Thomas would have been in this conversation had Trevor Lawrence not gotten seriously injured and not going to play. But back to Bowers for just a second. Quietly, with zero fanfare, is on pace to set the rookie reception record all time.
Not just for tight ends?
Not just tight ends.
Because Sam Laporta smacked a bunch of rookie tight end records last year.
He's going to break Puka Nakua's record from last year on rookie reception.
I'll never forget, before the draft, you had Kevin O'Connell one-on-one, and you were joking at the beginning of an interview, and you're like, you guys at whatever pick, you guys could take Brock Bowers. And he had a weird face. It was the last name that he thought you were ever going to bring up.
Right.
But the guy was unbelievable at Georgia. If you
So you're saying my questioning was bad?
No, I'm saying it was hilarious.
Thank you.
I will never forget it because it was so memorable.
Okay, ask John.
Brock Bowers at Georgia was, easily one of the best college football players. And part of the reason their offense in college has not been good at all this year is because they lost the guy who was such a focal point. So if you watched him in college, it's really not that surprising to see what he's done.
Yeah, agreed. And Ladd McConkey as well.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Okay, as Viking fans, we can't have Bo Nix win Rookie of the Year. That is not acceptable. I do not.
Doesn't matter
that happen
because our guy can't play. It's not like he's not playing; he can't play.
He can't play. I understand
so it doesn't
that.
matter.
It does matter. We hate it when good things happen to Sean Payton.
Honey.
And when he took his jabs at us in the draft, he's earned the right for us to root against.
But he was an idiot. He was a fool. We really stuck him for a pick there. Cool, Sean. We're not only not on your schedule, we're not in your same conference. Whatever. Don't get me started. Lastly, Alec wants to share something about Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I was looking this morning because, after the last 2 weeks and the 5 interceptions, there's been a lot of talk about it. And it's, again, as I said earlier, it's rightful. But I was going through, the Vikings have a top 15 offense. And if you look at all the offenses that are ahead of them or around them, it is quarterbacks paid $40 million, $50 million. I think the only offense with the quarterback not paid to that degree is Russell Wilson, and you know that guy's pedigree. So in reality, in totality, when you think about what Kevin O'Connell and this offensive staff have done with Sam Darnold, I just don't lose sight of that, regardless of how hard some of these games are. And I think it's just important when you think about the preseason expectations and what we thought, not to get so caught up. Now, fans obviously want to win every game, they should, but this team had 28 first downs last week. They amassed 400 yards. They had time of possession for 42 minutes.
Right.
Like, I give Kevin a lot of credit, a guy who has not run the ball a ton, to run it as much as he did in that game, to me, said a lot. And so I just, the fact that they have even been as productive as they've been offensively, I think it's important not to lose sight of that, given kind of the narrative the last couple of weeks.
I tweeted this yesterday as just a reminder on these exact same lines. Right now, on the season, Sam Darnold has the highest on-target pass rate in the NFL at 81.4%. So, he's not a bad quarterback. He is not playing as well as he did earlier, but this thing is by no means a disaster.
When you pay a quarterback $10 million for a season, it comes with, when you pay quarterbacks $50 million, you get what oftentimes in this league, you get what you pay for. So what they've done with what they're paying him and what he's done really throughout the start, I just don't lose sight of the
fair point
aspects of it.
All right. Thanks for the good times, boys. Appreciate you.
Yeah. I'll ask John, too.
See you, brother. John Lewis, thank you for listening. And everybody else in Anniston, Alabama, we thank you for believing in the cornfields. And please send some moonshine post-haste. For Jared Wells, the engineer, Nick Madden and his street team, Paul Charchi, and I'm Paul Allen. He's Alec Lewis. And Nordo, likewise producing. Hey! Thank you very much for coming out, everybody. God bless all of you. And go Vikings this weekend. See you later.
PA and Charch.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.